Be advised, the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch. Hello, my name is Harrington Watko and welcome to our program. Last week we had what I call part one, not realizing that we had to have a consequential show. Last week the topic was leveling the playing field, and the niche viewership was basically professional accountants and or certified auditors. Ladies and gentlemen, last week our program, if you have not seen it, you should be able to log on by tonight, on let's see, www.youtube, spelled as in YOU, /GNN Talk to Harry, one word, and you'll be able to catch that show. This program will be on the same YouTube, but in 5-6 days. Okay, the program last week was leveling the playing field, wherein we are all familiar with the financial crisis in the last 2-3 years, which, thank God, America, #1 country in the world, has given us as a gift. Well, what's happened is basically, out of greed or whatever you want to call it, the financial system somehow collapsed and was saved with more money being injected. Now, how did this come to happen? Well, let's see. Some call it greed, some call it the casino in Wall Street in America, some call it magic in financial records that were in the disposition of certain people that made things, well, one after the other occur to snowball into what you call the crisis. So what did we learn? The rest of the world came up with a lot of different issues. Tama nga naman, ano, pag may mga nangyayari, mga gaya nangyayari sa Japan, di ba? Lahat tayo kailangan tumingin uli, pag-aralan kung ano matututo natin at paghandaan. Here in the Philippines, we're no less, and there is a bill that was filed again. It's called the Durano Bill. It's in Congress. Basically, it's introducing what we call the QAR. The QAR, the Qualitative Assurance Review or something, basically. It's who checks our auditors when our financial records are put into work. Now, we all need to have the auditors, the professional certified auditors, because this is regulation, this is a requirement in our industry. Because remember, it's called the BIR, it's called our taxes, and it's called doing your role as a citizen. Now, what's happened is, while the independent auditors in this country, which number to some 80%, who handle the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, they're up in arms and they're having a problem with the association, the regulation, the board of accountancy, etc., etc. Now, if you watch that show last week, it'll explain to you basically their points of views. Last week, we heard the independent auditors crying out and saying, hey, hang on, hold on, guys, how about us? It's the Shoemart syndrome, meaning the big boys coming to town and wiping out us small operators, because the fees that are being levied on them by the different associations in the accounting whatever systems is making it difficult, or how they say, wiping them out altogether. What does that mean for you and me? Unless you are the Shoemart man, or you're Mr. Pangilinan, or you're Mr. whoever in the big industry, it don't really matter, because at that point you're probably using the big industries anyway, the big auditing firms. But what if you're the local grocer? You are the, let's see, the barbershop, you're the small automotive supplier. You still have to pay your taxes, and you still have to give some type of ITR, incidentally, which is due early next month. So if you haven't done it, you better stand up and get somebody to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, in this program, we're going to do part 2, but this time, we've invited some of the professionals. But last, we invited one of the independent auditors who were with us last week to join us, who may be able to ask other questions, because after all, I'm but a host. I'm not really technical or, how do you say, a professional in this specific field. Ladies and gentlemen, from We have the chairman and senior partner from the Isla Lipanan and Company. We have Miss Judith Lopez. From Punong Bayan, we have the chairman himself, who has graced us right here in the studio. Punong Bayan and Arroyo, Mr. Ben Punong Bayan. And last week, we have our guest, Mr. Mon Martinez. PICPA of Southern Tagalog. PICPA stands for Philippine Institute of CPAs, Certified Public Accountants. Thank you very much. Lady, gentlemen, maraming salamat for being here and being game to sit here, talk about the issues that I was trying to keep you up on what we were talking about last week. So I guess it's free for all. Let's start with the big boys, the big companies as we go into the independent auditor. They were charging, they're saying that while they're not against the CAR, the Quality Assurance Review, it's basically the fees that's holding them back that will wipe them out. Do you feel the same way?
Well, anyway, let me respond to it in a different context and reiterate also.
My comment. Here we go. Sige,
okay,
please.
Reiterate also the position because I thought it's very important
yes.
all practitioners fully support the quality assurance review. I think they all recognize the benefits that it will bring to the various players in the industry.
Check and balance kasi yan, di ba?
Yes, yes.
Parang who's going to check the auditors? The CAR will.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's good for the industry as a whole. It's good for the regulators. It's good for the clients. First and foremost, the companies, the issuer of the financial statements, those who rely on the financial statements. It's good for the individual practitioners.
Even an entrepreneur, no?
Yes, yes.
Unless gusto magdaya.
You're right. And you're right. The main issue is the fee. And I think in a number of forums, the fee is really the issue that's being brought up.
So yun lang conflict.
Yes, that's the only conflict. Under the guidelines issued by the Quality Assurance Review Committee, the fee can vary from 4,000 to as high as 350,000. Okay.
That's not a small fee.
Per year. Per year.
Yes, yes.
And I think the concern of the smaller practitioners, some of their clients, especially perhaps some of the cooperatives, the fee can be as low as 50,000 or some even 5,000. I thought for
50,000 for cooperatives.
Oh, okay. But I heard that it can be as low as 5,000. Some can be pro bono, and therefore, if you're paying 8,000.
You mean per client pag nag-audit sila?
Per client. Oo, per client can be as
actually,
low as...
lower pa?
Oo, lower. Pwedeng 1,000.
Pwedeng 1,000.
O, pwede ring sometimes pro bono, in the desire to help. So, hindi naman dinidistinguish under the quality assurance review whether it's a pro bono or it's a paying client. No? So, counted yan as you have so many number of clients, and if you meet the specific threshold in terms of number of clients, then you will be charged.
But the big auditing firms, kayo ba, hindi kayo tutol dyan, maski taasan nilang fees? It doesn't bother you? Of course not. With the number of corporate clients that you already handle, it's not restricting.
Well, I think in absolute amount, it seems reasonable, but we would like also to ensure that it's fair because big accounting firms can handle different, I mean, in terms of number of clients, publicly listed clients that they handle, it can vary. Some can have 1 to 10 only. Some can be 10 to 20, 20 to 25, above 100.
So it can still affect you.
Yes, I think we also would like to ensure that there is fairness in terms of who would pay the certain amount.
Why do you want to be fair? I mean, if you're bigger, wipe out the smaller ones. The SM syndrome. Tanggalin na si mom and pop.
Well, because the publicly listed clients are not equally distributed also among the big accounting firms. There's also some concentration of one firm can handle 100 clients. Some can only handle 10 clients. So parang, one paying 385 versus one paying, I don't know, 150,000. Is there fairness too? But I think on the overall, it's not really a big issue because, as I said, the fee is a reasonable is a reasonable fee for perhaps for big accounting firms. And perhaps for the smaller accounting firms.
It wipes them out, according to them.
Or they're questioning, is it fair for the big firms really to have 385,000 or 350,000? Baka, in their view, baka dapat kaya mas mataas sila. So that it lessen also the portion that will be shouldered by small accounting firms. So I think at this time I'm not saying is it fair or is it not
your
fair.
Your point of view first. Bago tayo mag-away-away, point of view muna.
Okay, my point of view, I think we can still improve yung smaller accounting firms. Okay, especially that yung initial year of the quality assurance review is really to help them raise the bar of their quality. Tulungan sila para ma-meet naman nila yung objectives of the quality assurance review program, which is really to have to raise the bar of the quality of audit.
Integrity, guarantee, and assurance.
Integrity, quality of audit of all firms doing audit of all companies in the Philippines. So, on that aspect, I think may point naman. I'm not saying hindi valid yung point na nire-raise nila.
Okay, Mr. Puno. Huwag mo tignan mo kung ano si Mr. Martinez.
May valid.
Let me take off from what Judith said about, and your question about the cost.
Yes, sir.
Any additional cost, of course, is something that every businessman and practitioner would like to avoid.
Of course.
That's true for small firms or big firms and all that. To the extent that we can reduce the cost, of course, we will try to reduce the cost.
Yes.
But to me, the cost is not really, should not be a big issue. Maybe we should try to put this in its proper perspective. This inspection of auditors is a worldwide development. Nag-umpisa to nung nagkaroon ng problema sa Amerika, corporate fraud and all that.
Yes.
And the American politicians came up with some kind of solution, if I may call it that solution. They came up with what they call yung PCAOB, which is Public Company Accounting
to check
oversight.
Okay.
In effect, to promulgate rules about auditing and to inspect.
Okay.
So, kumalat ito, and so much so that bigger countries pick them up, UK and all that. Of course, ang World Bank and also the Asian Development Bank and the United Nations are concerned naman with the smaller countries. So they suggested that through the various kind of instruments and mechanisms that they have at their disposal, that maybe the smaller countries should also have the same kind of oversight, if I may call it, over auditors. And that's precisely what the World Bank suggested to the Philippines. That's how it came about.
All right.
In fact,
origin, history.
Yeah, in fact, the World Bank has donated a sum of money to PICPA, we mentioned PICPA kanina, to develop a program for this kind of inspection. Yung study na yon ang ginamit ng tinatawag natin Board of Accountancy in implementing the quality control sa Pilipinas. Ang hirap lang doon is that they created some kind of entity na parang private at saka ang funding is not clear kung saan manggagaling. Pero ang function lang is very simple ang Pilipinas today have accepted yung tinatawag na international auditing standards, which we call Philippine Standards on Auditing.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Nakakataas tayo ng level.
So, pan 2005.
Standards.
2005. One of those standards, which was adopted by the Philippines, I think, in 2008, is what they call PSQC-1, yung Philippine Standard on Quality Control number 1. Na ang sinasabi, lahat ng auditing firm sa Pilipinas, malaki o maliit, kailangan magkaroon ka ng quality control sa firm mo, sa practice mo. Whether dalawa lang kayo o 3,000, kailangan meron kayong quality control. Ang inspection unit, ang gagawin lang naman nila is to inspect kung nagko-comply yung auditor doon sa standard. Unang-una, kailangan naman nilang gawin yun eh. Di ba? Hindi naman sila exempted doon eh. Kanya lang, kung maliit ka, may mga wikang paraan para makakomply ka. Para hindi naman masyadong magastos and all that. Maraming magagawa dyan. Meron namang guidance na binigay dyan ng mga standard setter. So, kailangan gawin ng lahat ng auditing firm. Walang exempted.
Walang exception.
Ang gagawin lang nitong inspection unit is to make sure na ginagawa. Yun lang naman ang issue eh. So, lahat ng countries, karamihan, yung malalaki, meron na sila, no? Tayo, nag-umpisa tayo. Ang pagkakamali siguro is, ang pagpa-fund, kinukuha natin sa mga auditors.
Yun,
So,
mali
kasi,
dapat.
Isipin lang natin kung paano yung inspection. Yung inspection, merong entity dyan, magpapadala ng inspector. So, mga 4 na tao, 5 tao, babayaran mo na sweldo yun eh. Di ba? I-inspection nila yung, yung accounting firm namin, accounting firm ni Judith, accounting firm ni Mon. So, titingnan nila kung talagang nagko-comply sa requirements. Kasi kailangan mag-comply para maiwasan natin yung mga corporate fraud or whatever it is na nangyayari. Ang ginawa ng Board of Accountancy, sinisingil sa mga auditing firms. So, yun ang pinag-umpisahan nitong ayaw nila. Pero academic na yun eh. Academic, kanya ako sinabing academic, yung Durano Bill, na bagong ni Congressman Durano, yung bill na yon na i-amend yung accountancy law, i-create nila yung inspection unit, yung Quality Control Council.
That's what is that bill, yeah.
And then, mag-attach sila doon yung tinatawag na Audit Inspection Unit. Ang magpopondo doon is gobyerno na. Ang appropriation doon sa bill is 25 million sa umpisa at 20 million
succeeding. Yes, we talked about that last week.
After. And kung mabuo yan, nandun yung inspection unit, which I think naman, hindi naman tinututulan ng karamihan ng tao, at meron ng pera, hindi na dapat maging issue. Pero nung araw, nung nagkakagulo pa, alam mo, Harry, may binanggit ako na there is an unexpressed fear. It's not the money. Kasi sa money, kung ako ang auditing firm, ano yun cost of doing business. If you look at it as cost of doing business, i-add mo sa fee mo. Kung lahat tayo ganun gagawin natin, walang magagawa ang kliyente, di ba? Sa akin, cost of doing business. I think there is an unexpressed fear, yung inspection itself. Baka pag na-inspect sila, hindi maganda ang takbo. I think yun ang hindi lang nasasabi.
Come on, direct reply to that. Tama ba yun, tingin mo?
Maaaring gano'n, ano? Pero sa bahagi nung...
Yung findings ng audit sinasabi ni Mr. Punong Bayan?
Hindi pa doon sa gano'n kasi...
Sa fees?
Wala ngang tutol sa quality assurance review yung
May nga pinag-usapan natin last week. Mukhang spirit of the law, maayos. Implementasyon lang
Wala doon sa mismo esensya ng quality assurance. Gusto nung lahat yon. Kasi it is a professional development yun at saka sa probation. The way kung paano i-implement,
yun ang problema.
Yun ang problema. Kasi may pagka-confiscatory in nature yung paniningil ng pagkatapos, renewal ng BOA mo, kailangan na, ito na yan. Nag-enroll ka na, sundin mo na yung mga ganito.
So tama sinasabi ni Mr. Ben. There is that issue, the sensitivity of licenses that can be taken out, wiped out, if they don't pass the quality assurance.
Tapos yung pagbibigay ng rate kung ano yung mga ina-audit mo, sabi nga natin, kung ina-audit mo ay cooperative, dinefine nila ang cooperative as public entity. Therefore, ang fee na hihingin sa iyo,
mas tataas na.
50,000.
Okay.
Kaya naniningil ka lang ng minsan pro bono, minsan 500, may mga ibang wala naman talagang kinikita yung accountant dahil kailangan lang CDA. So, ganun yung mga ilang issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to take a short break, but right before we go off and take that break, I'd like to remind you the discussion, the reason why we have this, and the presentation in this first episode is basically to lay down positions of whoever what stands, wherever. The reason being, are we wiping out, or the big boys wiping out the small boys, or vice versa, or is this new law going to wipe out the independent auditors, or whichever way? Alam niyo po, the relationship to us, kayo mga viewers, ganito yan eh. You will be involved in many of us in small, medium-term enterprises. And what will happen is, never mind this year, but next year, baka mabulaga po kayo pagdating ng mga auditor nyo, or when you try to register or put together your financial figures for the Bureau of Internal Revenue, to try, better yet, when you try to defend it, when you have it audited, which is the requirement. Fees will change dramatically if your auditor is still around. Now, when we come back, we'll go now into the open discussion as to what everybody thinks is right, or maybe it's a misnomer, and maybe sensitivities are misplaced, or it's true. It has to be really looked into some more. So stay with us. So it's good we went through the first part on Hello, my name is Harry Tumbuatco. We're back. We have from the Lipanan, Chairman and Senior Partner of Lipanan, Isla Lipanan and Company, Judith Lopez. We've got the Chairman, Punong Bayan and Auroli. We've got Ben Punong Bayan himself. And we've got Mon Martinez, who represents the PICPA of the Southern Tagalog. Let's start off again, or let's go back to where we ended with Mon. Mon, ano ba kinakatakutan ng mga independent auditing firms na tataas ang presyo sa mga kliyente nila? For example, ako sanay ako, nagbabayad ako ng 25,000, 35,000 a year, pina-audit ko. Kanyari may auto shop ako, maliit na enterprise, small, medium enterprises, di ba? Na ngayon, kasi itong bagong batas nga, o itong bagong kakwar, no? Tataas siya, magiging 300 yan, or 200,000, di siyempre mamamatay yung negosyo. Kung di ko naman kaya, ganun ba tingin mo mangyayari? Ganun assessment nyo, no?
Yun yung nakikita na yung magiging effect. Pero sa ngayon, kung bakit tumututol yung mga kwan, kasi
mga independent,
i-implement nila ngayon. So, yung mga magre-renew nung kanilang accreditation to the Board of Accountancy, hindi marirenew kung hindi sila magko-comply dun sa kung hindi nila
so force implementation, or the implementation will force the quality assurance to eradicate some auditors. Is that how I understand it?
They don't comply.
If they don't comply, is that good for our industry? Is it bad?
I think it is good.
But you're going to minimize the number of auditors.
Hindi naman. Kung magko-comply naman lahat, wala namang mawawala eh.
Pero mahal nga mag-comply ko. Magkaka-kliyente pa ba sila pag i-charge nila mga kliyente nila, yung mga normal ng mga 1,000, 2,000?
It's an economic issue. Maybe Judith can...
Well, I think we go back again to the basic requirements. Kasi nga, and I think nabanggit na rin ni Ben, na under the auditing standards talaga, merong quality control standards na dapat i-comply. Now, at the moment kasi, nakasuspend yung quality assurance review.
Suspended for now eh.
For now. Pero, basic dun sa responsibility ng Board of Accountancy that they have to provide oversight on the quality of audit of practitioners. So, part nung oversight na yon is really to ensure that the practitioners comply with the minimum requirements of the standard. At yung minimum requirements na ito nga, yung compliance with the quality control standards.
Bakit tumataas ang fees? Just to bring up the integrity or for clarity or integrity of reports. Why must fees be reintroduced for a higher amount?
Kasi kung if a firm will have to comply with the quality standards, there are minimum requirements na kailangan gawin nila. Bawa, first, kailangan meron silang working papers to back up yung audit na ginawa nila sa kliyente. When you say working papers, may mga minimum requirements on documentation. Kailangan mo for instance, kailangan mo mag-confirm ng bank account, kailangan mo mag-confirm ng receivables.
So more work.
Well, minimum, hindi natin sinasabing more work kasi nga, minimum requirements yung mga work na yun eh. Minimum requirements na kailangan isulat mo yun. Minimum requirements na kailangan i-review by someone. Minimum requirements na kailangan kung may mga issues, then you have to consult a technical person in your firm. Minimum requirements na yung mga issues na uncover mo sa audit, kailangan i-communicate mo sa management, kailangan i-communicate mo to people who are in charge of governance. So, mga minimum requirements ito.
Kasi independent sila, they don't have all these people around them. So, cost of operation tataas para sa independent.
Oo. So, kung...
Hindi naman, kasi ano yun yung mga sinasabi mga minimum requirements o requirements ng auditing, ginagawa naman talaga yun. At pero in relation with the renewal of your accreditation with BOA, hindi ang iano mo lang doon, magko-comply ka. Yeah. Pero the issue there is pinakalang bayaran mo to. Meron ka na.
Yung fees. Bakit natataasan ba ang fees? Bakit ba tinataasan?
Pero yung, if I may
Maski pa lang.
Sige.
Yung sinasabing babayad, palagay ko yung law ni Durano will, that you do not have to pay that much fee.
The 25 million that they're going to absorb and 20 million thereafter
annually. Ibang issue pa po yung sa law kung hindi wala namang ginagawa. Pero ibig sabihin yun sa kasalukuyang practice kung bakit napigil yun kung bakit nag-file ng injunction for the implementation dahil nga doon sa
babayad. Yung babayad na fee.
Parang
pero mawawala na ngayon
I think the independent auditors feel off camera, I remember if I remember right, is there is pressure and it's seemingly from the big firms that are pressuring the independent, so much so that it is squeezing out the independent. Is that a fair statement to make?
Probably not.
Or seemingly, perception.
It doesn't.
Okay, good.
To be categorical about
Okay.
it. I think there are two types of costs that we are talking about then. One is yung pagka na-enroll ka na sa inspection, merong fee na babayaran. Yung mas importanteng cost, I think, is yung pag-comply dun sa quality control standard. May tinanong ka, nag-uusap kayo ni Judith kanina, ano ba yung additional cost na yon? Gusto ko lang idagdag na kung ang practitioner magko-comply sa quality control standard, tataas talaga ang cost niya. Kasi ang quality ng resource, tataas Unang-una, ang tao, nakalagay sa standard, kailangan mapili mo mabuti yung mga tao, yung medyo mahuhusay.
So, hihimayin mo yung availability dyan.
Tataas ang babayad mong sweldo. Hindi na pwede yung basta-basta na lang. Okay. Ang pangalawa, kung meron kang issue na mahirap, accounting issue, kailangan mag-consult ka.
Gastos ka ngayon dyan.
Ngayon, kung maliit ka lang, nag-isa kang practitioner, konti lang yung sino kukonsultahin mo? So, nakalagay naman sa guidance, mag-consulta ka ng another accounting firm. So, may gastos yun. May babayaran ka. Okay. Meron kang technical problem. Kung maliit yung firm, wala ka namang technical department.
Walang crew,
Sabi doon, kailangan kumuha ka ng magandang another opinion, para
gastos na naman yun.
Wala ka naman doon sa firm mo, so pupunta ka na naman. Saan pupunta? Another accounting firm. So magbabayad ka na naman. Ang pinakamalaki pang requirement ng quality control standard is, within the firm, kailangan magkaroon ka ng internal inspection ng quality ng trabaho mo. Hindi inspection ng ibang tao,
So,
kundi
parang internal audit.
Kung kukonti ka, hindi mo ma-inspect.
Walang
So, ano sabi ng guidance? well, kumuha ka ng another auditor.
Kumbaga sa doktor, second
So,
opinion.
tataas talaga ang cost. Ang point ko naman, that's an economic issue. Kung
Bottom-
talagang ang cost of operation tataas, may babayaran dito, tataas ang ano mo, wala tayong magagawa. Kailangan itaas natin yung fee natin sa mga kliyente. Kung lahat ng auditor ganun ang gagawin, wala magagawa ang kliyente. Di ba?
Naku, ang
Magpapayag
viewer nakikinig
sila.
sa'yo. Don't run for politics, you won't make it.
Economics yan eh.
Okay,
Ngayon,
okay.
kung ang mga kliyente naman, napansin na napakalaki binabayad nila, ito increase naman nila yung price. So, wala tayong
Baliktad
magagawa
naman.
eh. Di ba?
So, cost of doing business.
Sa
Boto ka
akin,
doon.
it's a cost of doing business.
Hindi, ganun talaga naman yung ginagawa ng kwan. So,
Well, I don't wanna pay more.
oh. Na
Go
kaya,
ahead, go ahead.
kaya sa engagement mo pa lang, inilalagay mo na yun doon sa engagement letter mo
Oh,
doon sa
pag-umpisa
client.
pa lang.
Oh, pati yung mga possible cost doon sa iyong audit work na ano. So, yun yung sisingil. Doon kayo mag-uusap. Dahil talagang kailangan yon.
Oh my God,
Oh.
are we doomed? Is this what's going to happen next year?
Kung-
It's not going to be applying on April
Kasi,
15, right?
Depende nga doon sa iyong kliyente. Kung yung kliyente mo na mga maliliit lang, di, walang ganong masyadong cost na mga verification or mga confirmation lang ng mga bank account or etc. Oh, pero wala na yung ibang mga
So,
valuations.
tell me if I'm getting this right from the layman's point of view. The independent auditors are trying to fight or hold back this new quality control procedure, or the CAR, not only because of the specific fees, but indirectly because we, the taxpayers, are going to end up paying more for our audits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
No, wait, hang on. I'm the one being affected here. I thought I was just hosting you three.
No, you will be affected.
I'll be affected.
Yeah. If the auditor
Oh, wait, I should
does-
talk to our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, we should put a stop to this. No, but seriously, must we be put into this uncompromising position?
There's no other alternative because what we wanted to do, just like in anything that we would like to improve, we want to improve the
Quality.
attest function ng auditor. So, to improve that attest function, kailangan mahusay ang resources niya. So, tataas ang cost niya. Eh, hindi naman siya pwedeng mag-practice kung malulugi siya. Kailangan kumita siya ng pera. So, ang alternative lang is ipasa yung increase ng cost
Sa
sa
customer.
kliyente, kamukha mo. Ikaw naman, pag-iisipan mo, ano ba ito? I-absorb ko ba ito increase na ito o tataasan ko price ko sa...
What if the business
price
cannot
ko?
handle it?
It
It's not exactly a rosy
It will
environment
always
financially.
be possible to do it. Ang
That means we will
mangyayari
pass
yan-
our cost to our clients as well.
Yeah, you have to. Kanya lang, auditing cost lang to. Palagay ko na, napakaliit ng effect dun sa price
Total
mo.
cost.
Di ba? Hindi naman to gasolina na pagkalaki-laki ng effect. Eh, auditing cost lang to. Kung nagbabayad ka ngayon ng 100,000, nagbayad ka ng 200,000, kumikikita ka ng 10 million, eh, napakaliit na bagay naman yun, di ba? So,
I'm not
kaya
going to
mo-
open my mouth in front of TV with the BIR listening there. You know.
O, isa pa yan, madididak mo naman. So, ang babayaran mo lang in effect is 100 minus income tax.
30%.
How about that issue that the independent auditors are seemingly promoting? Is it true, it's not true that you guys are bullying the small guys?
That's not true.
That's
In
not
fact,
true, yeah.
How about the big international auditing firms coming into the country being now exposed? This would refer to you most especially. No,
Yeah.
not personally, but professionally. Wherein international auditing firms that come in and now will have a peek, so to speak, or they will be able to see our financial records. It's like selling our sovereignty. Is that one way we can look at it, or that's also incorrect?
No, I think it's not a correct impression. No. First, there are a number of international accounting firms having member firms in the country.
All right.
At the moment, we have not changed the rules. The rules is the practice of public accountancy is restricted to Filipinos.
But
So
do you know the legal professions like that? Kailangan Pilipino ka lang para
Oo.
mag-practice ka
Okay.
ng
Ganun din sa-
abogado.
Which is-
No, ganun din sa...
Shouldn't we maintain that with auditors?
Ganun din ang
Ah,
nangyayari.
okay.
Up until now.
Oo, yun din ang rule
Up
ng
until now.
ating...
And it's not going to change, even with the,
I
don't think so.
the coming in of the big...
Maybe there are international discussions going on that will make this liberal, but
Yeah.
that will take a while.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue right now.
No, it's not an issue
Ah,
right
okay,
now.
good. So at least in documents natin, figures natin will remain within.
Yeah.
Hindi pupunta sa mga Amerikano, sa mga Europyano, kung ano nangyayari dito sa negosyo natin. Kasi para tayong nabenta ngayon down the street. Hindi naman ganon.
Pero Harry, let me respond to, there are two things that I think quite importantly you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
One is, kung gusto talaga ng mga malalaking firm na mawala yung small, hindi eh. In fact, gusto nga namin malalaking firm na tumaas yung level ng small. But they have to comply with the rules.
Why do you want them to go up?
Para gumanda ang
economic situation.
Ang auditing natin, tumaas ang level. Kapag sa doktor, mataas yung
kwalidad.
Yung kwalidad. Yun ang ano namin sa objective namin. In fact, yung mga intellectual property namin na kuminsan na ano namin nilalagay namin sa website namin para makatulong sa mga small auditing firm.
Sinishare nyo,
Pangalawa, yung mga malalaking firm, kamukha ng firm nila Judith, hindi na namin kayang mag-audit ng maliliit na company. Hindi na profitable sa amin yan eh. So, hindi namin ginagawa. At to cite an example, sa firm namin, hindi kami tumatanggap ng audit na below a certain amount of money. Hindi na namin tinatouch yun. Okay, pangalawa, yung sinasabi mong confidentiality of information.
Yes.
Going back to yung PCAOB, remember yung
Yes.
alam mo mga Amerikano, ano yan eh, parang sila ang hari ng mundo, di ba?
Hindi ba? Alam ko sila, pero sige.
Alam mo ba na yung PCAOB, pagka ang American company may significant subsidiary sa Pilipinas, okay? I-audit yan ng affiliate ng auditor nila sa Amerika.
Normal yun.
Normal yun. Kaya to PCAOB, i-inspectionan yung auditor sa Amerika.
I-qualify nila.
Hindi. Gusto nilang inspection din yung auditor dito sa Pilipinas.
Siyempre, para manigurado.
Diba? And ang nangyari, yung panahon ni Marcos, meron tayong law on confidentiality na hindi natin pwedeng
ilabas yung
in effect, hindi pwedeng tignan ng foreigner yung working papers ng auditor. Kanya lang, may provision doon na if the President of the Republic will give consent, it can happen. So, sa Pilipinas, nagkaroon ng inspection ng PCAOB mga 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Pinayagan sila.
Pinayagan ng GMA.
Then, whatever that's that entity. No? Okay. So, yung mga PCAOB American auditors, nakapag-examine na rito. So, the issue of confidentiality has become also academic.
So, muta na academic.
Yung PCAOB sa Europe...
But it doesn't make it right or wrong. Is that right?
It's international Kanya lang ngayon...
Pero tayo ba, kaya ba natin inspect yung mga sa Amerikano?
Reciprocity, pwede siguro.
Siguro.
Hindi, kanya lang. Wala naman tayong inspection sa Amerika. Kanya hindi natin
kunwari San Miguel, we have some global brands that are growing. We have brands that are growing. So habang lumalaki tayo, reciprocity. Inspect mo kami, we'll inspect you.
At saka, we have to look nowadays na there is really globalization. Of course, there are certain countries that is still opposing it. China, for example.
Of course they'll oppose it. They hide everything.
The American PCA, we cannot go to China.
But
they can go to Europe. They can go to Europe, though. Or they can go to Australia. Alam mo naman, alam mo, I have much respect sa China and the Chinese.
Is the country's sovereignty under threat when one audit is open to another country? When an audit is open
siguro.
Mga Amerikano, alam nila, malakas kasi agriculture nila, ganito, ganyan ginagawa nila, nakawin nila yung intellectual property niya.
Ang ini-inspect naman yung working papers ng company na subsidiary ng American company.
They own it anyway.
Hindi naman yung mga Filipino company like,
But when the big firms come into merging with the local big companies, for example, in your company, di ba, may malaking partnership kayo. Hindi naman pwede pumasok at titignan nila yung dokumento na iba. Kasi mahuhuli nila yung intellectual property niyo eh.
Ang flaw, yung ino-audit sa Amerika.
Only what they... okay.
Yun lang. Kung walang presence dito in-audit sa Amerika, di wala.
Useless.
Pero kung...
Tsaka wala silang interest.
Kung yung in-audit lang sa Pilipinas, hindi na titignan yun.
Tsaka ang tinitingnan lang nila, Harry, yung part of the work ng auditors na merong bearing dun sa report na ini-issue sa US. So, hindi nila titingnan yung buong...
So, specific interest?
Oh, specific lang, specific areas lang.
Hindi
Kung
naman-
hindi
hindi
buong
naman
working papers na, halimbawa, yung buong working papers natin na basis for filing ng ating
But
mga...
isn't that the very reason we try to keep it national, meaning we don't want, we only want Filipinos to be auditors, like our legal profession, we want them only to stay Filipinos. The reason for that is that we don't sell our sovereignty or our information
Yeah.
and or intellectual property
Hindi naman
rights.
not necessarily. May reciprocity naman eh. If the other country permits it, we will have to permit it.
Tsaka yung work nga, I mean, yung part of work na ginagawa ng auditors dito in the country is not only for statutory compliance eh. It's also to help yung parent auditors to comply with the requirements for instance here sa US. So, kung meron silang subsidiary rito sa Pilipinas, mas cost efficient kasi na pagawa nila
Sa Pilipino,
yung trabaho
dito.
sa Pilipino.
Pero doon pa rin yung kwalidad.
Oo, so yung work na yon na pinapagawa nila sa Philippine firm, well, yun lang yung work na titingnan nila.
Ni-inspect. At saka,
Oo.
karamihan sa inspection, I think more than 50% of the time, hindi dun sa nitty-gritty tinitingnan eh. Tinitingnan dun yung hiring policies, personnel policies. But because they influence quality. Di ba?
Quality
Yung
control.
consultation policy.
In effect, yung quality control
review,
din.
review
So basically policy.
Oh, yung continuation and discontinuation of client relationship.
Right.
Kasi all of this affect quality. And karamihan doon naman nakafocus eh. Konti lang yung talagang detalye.
Yung actual
Kasi kung makikita mo
figures.
talaga ang auditing firm, maganda mga policies and all that, there is a presumption na mahusay ang trabaho. Di ba? Kung kumuha sila mahusay na tao.
So I guess none of us are against quality upgrade in light of the financial fiasco that hit us 2 years ago. So everybody is more or less going for good guns or upgrading the integrity. The only issue maybe would be the fees, but then again we have different positions on. Correct me if I'm trying to summarize it before we end the program. The fees, which can be limiting to some or restricting, but we're saying it's cost of business. Mr. Punong Bayan is saying it, and if it's the only way that we require a higher grade of audit grade, a proper audit grade, so be it. And if others fall off, so be it. It's called cost of business from both client and the professional side. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end of the program, so I'd like to give you a minute and a half to wrap up your point of view so our viewers can understand or summarize in your own way. Judith Lopez, maybe any camera.
Okay. Anyway, just to reinforce also the accreditation, because right now, even though there is an injunction on the quality assurance review, those whose accreditation expired in 2011 will have to renew their accreditation, and therefore the Board of Accountancy is still continuously looking at the quality controls processes in the firm before they approve the accreditation. Pero there's no fee anymore because the registration for the quality assurance review has been suspended. So even though the firms are not paying for the fee, you know, the BOA is continuously reviewing those who are renewing their accreditation if they have the necessary quality controls in their respective firms. So I hope hindi mawawala yun kasi napaka-importante nun eh. Kung hindi makakapasa yung mga accounting firms sa accreditation requirements ng BOA, then there is a risk na hindi sila makapag-practice. But I think the BOA is would like to help yung mga smaller accounting firms, and therefore they're becoming a little bit flexible in their rules, no? Tutulungan nila na hindi muna isa-sanction yung mga smaller accounting firms, bibigyan nila siguro ng leeway ng mga a year to 2 years para ma-improve yung internal quality processes nila so that ultimately they'll be able to raise the bar of their quality. Anyway, I think for all public practitioners, I would like to emphasize na yung aside from having appropriate and adequate auditing standards, kailangan din nating may monitoring scheme. And I thought the quality assurance review will be a good systems to be in place for that monitoring scheme. But again, at the end of the day, yung quality should not be left to the board of accountancy or to the regulators. I think it is the responsibility of each and every firm to ensure that they meet yung quality requirements and to ensure also that we promote public trust and good governance in what we do. Public practice really rests on public trust. So the moment na pagka nawala yun, then that means there's, the trust on what we do will also be lost. So we really have to guard.
I thought we already lost it, but okay, at least not in accounting. Quickly, 1 minute, Mr. Punangbayan.
Well, kanina gusto ko sabihin sa iyo, kung ito nangyayari sa accounting profession, nangyayari sa medical profession, para ma-upgrade ang service.
Patay tayo.
Ng medical profession, di ba?
Sa piloto, no? Habang lumilipad ka, baka bumagsak.
Gusto ba natin o hindi natin gusto?
Okay.
Di ba?
Okay.
Ngayon, ang gusto ko lang mapaihayag sa mga kapwa kong practitioners na represented ni Moniel sa ni Judith. I think the development na to is good. We are just following the development around the world. And for us to be lagging behind again will not be good. Mga 25 years ago, we are ahead of everybody else in Southeast Asia in accounting. Now, I don't think we are. We have not done what we have to do. So this is our chance ngayon to really go back to the lead, so to speak. Ang sabi ko nga kanina, itong development na to may cost nga. Pero wala tayong magagawa is ano natin sa kinauukulan. Ang nangyari naman dahil nagkaroon ng Durano Bill, yung cost ng inspection hindi na i-charge sa mga practitioners. So yun ang malaking bagay. Pero hindi maiiwasan ng mga practitioners na magkaroon ng additional cost to implement to comply with the quality control standard. Siguro yun ang mali dito sa pangyayari na to. Hindi na emphasize mabuti yung quality control standard. Inspection ka agad Hindi mo malaman, ano ba inspeksyonan natin? Yun ang hindi naiintindihan. Pero maliwanag, ang inspeksyonan is yung compliance sa quality control standard na kailangan gawin naman ng lahat ng auditor.
Okay. Very quickly lang, we run out of time. Mr. Martinez.
Yun nga yung concern na gusto rin naman ng mga talagang matindi yung gusto ng mga small practitioner na ma-improve talaga. Actually, kaya nga nandun yung malakas yung participation sa mga continuing professional education. Sila pa nga mga resource persons sa kanila nanggagaling. Yun. So, ang naging problema, nagkaroon ng mga pero hindi nasagot yung mga tanong ng small practitioner regarding dun sa implementation noong QAR. So, yun yung problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time. We've already gone way over time. I hope you understood this program. Now you can catch it at YouTube should you miss it. Or you can watch it again tonight at 11 o'clock. There will be a replay. Next week, I'm going to have part 3, the final episode. We're going to bring in the man himself, the congressman, whose bill it was placed under, the Durano Bill. So tune in and let's see how we can recap and find out exactly where we are. Maraming salamat po. My name is Harry Tambuadco. Thank you very much. You are what you watch.